Hello, folks. Welcome. A bit of a late addition to the schedule this week. I found out a few of our community members are in the Pegs and Pins, or Pins and Pegs, it is Pins and Pegs, Steamfest, which has been taking place this week. And I thought we would check out their games. So I've also downloaded a couple of other games from the fest that I just liked the look of. So these are the ones that I kind of picked out in terms of what was interesting to me. So Ball Wizard is one of our patrons' games. What I've checked out on a stream before, checked out when it was kind of like still being worked on. And then Jill's game Orb Magi was supposed to be in the fest, but we didn't get the what's it called? The capsule approved in time. So I'm going to play that on this stream anyway, because I haven't checked it out in a little while, and I want to see kind of how it's coming along. The last time I played this, I don't think it had any of this arcade surround or anything, but this is a neat little kind of Bullet Heaven meets pinball with a kind of magical girl theme and a really cool aesthetic that goes with it. So I'm going to check out Orb Magi and Ball Wizard again, because those are kind of patrons, game supporters of this channel. I enjoyed them both the first time I played them, and then we're going to dip into maybe 3 of these games from the broader fest. I don't normally cover Steam fests as like a, I don't cover every single one, but when we've got community members that are part of them, and when it's a type of game that I'm personally kind of interested in, then I'm always happy to. And I do kind of like these games. I guess Peglin is kind of one of the, Peglin, Ballionaire, these games that use kind of pachinko stuff, and then a bit of kind of strategic engine building with like what you do with your pegs or your balls or whatever in those games. Ball Wizard is a little bit more like Ball Times Pit. It's or Ball X Pit. This is Wordnaut, who also made Negative Space, which I really liked last year. You can kind of tell from the art style that it's the same artist. But okay, we're gonna dive into this. I think the last time I played it, I don't think it had any of this level select or anything. So we're choosing a world, the Black Forest deep within dark and ancient growth. Forces have detected the presence of a wizard, and they are on their way. Guess, am I the wizard? Am I the wizard being detected? No one detects me. Can I move the wizard around? No, we're just aiming. Okay. So we're getting hurt straight away. That was a pretty harsh start. Okay. Very easy to fail at the beginning there. Can I move the wizard? Am I supposed to be able to move the wizard? Run it back. Yeah, I remember how this works. So this isn't like a long run game where you're basically just doing as much as you can with your 3 hearts, which might only last for like 30 seconds or something. So the core mechanic looks a bit like Ball X Pit, and it is, but it is much more in the Node Buster format of like a very short micro game with a little bit of skill involved maybe, and then you invest the resources in this, the training magic tree. Okay, so allow the wizard to move using A and D, and increase the damage done by basic ball by 400%. I'll go with that. Balls have a chance to critically hit. Get that one. Nice clear tree. I would do a color blindness check on the red and green on that. But it's a good skill tree. And the promise of these games for me, I mean, I have been a like real life pinball guy at various points in my life, and for me, as soon as we've got games that are about ball physics like this and scoring points by bouncing things around, my mind immediately goes to, when do we get the multi-ball? When do we get that kind of like ability to have loads and loads of balls pinging around at the same time? And hopefully this game allows us to upgrade into that. But that was always my thing, my kind of criteria for judging which pinball machine I liked the most, is like, how easy is it to get multi-ball, and how clear is it, like, what I need to do to get the multi-ball in the first place? Because for me, I wasn't aiming for the score, I was aiming for the multi-ball, because the multi-ball is what lets you kind of accidentally score loads of points even if you're not really paying that much attention, you know? So we'll see what happens with this upgrade tree. I'm going to give it about, I think I will give these first 2 games half an hour each. And then after that, we'll kind of see how we get on with some other games from the best. Hey Argent, hey Tim, hey Maui. Thanks for joining. It's lovely to see another game with this, with Wordnaught's art style. This is, I mean, I found the art style in the deck builder game really appealing. It makes more sense in a game that has a lot of squishy, bouncy things in it too. Sort of 90s Nickelodeon-y kind of art style that Wordnaught has. But we actually cleared it. Is that a thing we can do? We can actually clear the... Oh, okay, another wave comes. Just gives us a little break. See, even in a game that's this simple, you've got some nice trade-offs. It's like, do I get rid of the stuff that's closest to me, or do I bounce it down there knowing that there's like a really cool space to bounce the ball around in there, right? So we're giving people moment-to-moment trade-off choices. Oh, I should have got some upgrades then, but it's okay. Cool. The way that the life bar aspect of these characters is handled is very smart. I like the draining their color. Much better than sticking a kind of ugly health bar on them when we don't need to, you know? Yeah, pinball's great. Do you know the history of pinball as well, and how it relates to like gambling prohibition in the States? Like, pinball was invented to basically, before that point, like, those kind of machines were all gambling. And when there was a prohibition on gambling, so people were like, oh, we need to invent a machine that allows people to do something that feels like gambling but is skill-based. There's a historical court case, I don't know if it was in the 50s or earlier, where you've got like presumably a high court judge in America, and they've brought in a pinball machine, and the judge has to literally play pinball in the courtroom as part of the decision of whether it's a gambling machine or not. And I don't know what this judge looks like. I'm imagining some southern foghorn leghorn type lawyer. I do declare this is a game of skill and not chance. Yeah, I don't know. I think one day I'm going to do a video on my favourite video game court case factoids, because there's some funny ones. Enemies have a chance to explode on death, sending magic missiles at nearby enemies. That's fun. Do the magic missiles bounce around? That's what I want. I want stuff that bounces around. Reduce the cast time of basic ball. Okay. Balls have a chance to critically hit. Let's just get faster balls. That's what all I've wanted since I was a child, was to be the man with the fastest ball. Yeah, I think this blue style this is when we're at max level. These are maxed out. And let's reduce the cast time again, and the damage. There we go. I do like doing a couple of runs and saving up so we can buy a bundle of stuff rather than one thing at a time. Here we go. It's really kind of speeding up a little bit now. Yeah, I mean, games have a balance of skill and chance, don't they? A lot of games do. And arguably, even in some gambling things, not in all gambling things, but in like poker and blackjack, there is a skill in the judgment of odds, right? So it's more of a scale. And I think at the time, it was, you know, you can have a game that has chance in it, but you couldn't gamble money on something that was entirely chance-based type thing. But the judge was probably hoodwinked, like we all are in video games. A big sign came up and said, "You are very skillful." He scored like 10 points, and then the "You are very skillful" sign came up, and he went, I am. Like, having not known, having kind of forgotten what format this game was in, when I fought like 3 enemies in the first run and then immediately died, it did make me think, it makes me think now maybe it should have a "don't worry" message after that point. Because the thing is, the aesthetic of this game means it might attract like people that haven't played these types of games before, and the idea that you're supposed to just play for 30 seconds and then die and invest your stuff. It can be a difficult thing to get your head around if you're like coming into this not thinking that's what it is. So I would have like a little push tutorial after the first time you die that says, "Hey, don't worry. You've got some crystals now. Let's go and invest them." Because it didn't kind of force me to do that after the first loss, and I think it maybe should. I'm not always like the biggest fan of doing loads of hand holding, but the more kind of cutesy and casual looking you make your game, I think the more likely you're going to get an audience who might need that. Hey Rain, hey Paul. Let's get some. What can we afford? Oh, we got a new one. Quests. Kill 10 worms. Okay, so this is quite a good use of these kind of quests, because now I look over and see worms and boars, and I go, okay, well, I should prioritize shooting the worms and boars and not the flies, right? So quests that just slightly tweak how you play. Oh, I've already got those ones. Those are ones I can claim. Okay. 20 bears, 3 trolls. Purple gems. Okay, trolls and bears. I don't know what they are, but we'll aim for trolls and bears. And more magic missiles when enemies explode. Increase the chance of that happening. What's over here? Oh, we've got a couple of different tech trees as well. So that's the basic magic one. Let's be a poison guy. Love a bit of poison. Okay. They don't call me old poison balls for nothing. That's much faster now. Look at these little piggies. Can't see any trolls though, so I don't know how to target a troll because I can't see one. Frog's great. Look at that frog. Coming to get me. Okay, let's see what we can get now. Give me a poison ball. Give me... Can I get the lightning ball yet? What's this? Loadout management is now available. Oh, don't mind if I do. We've got a lightning ball. We've got a poison ball. Do I get to use them both at once? I'm not sure. Yeah, we don't have the lightning ball, or I haven't equipped it. Yeah, it's basically like mini Vorlex Pit. It's got some of the same stuff going on. So I've got a basic ball, and then I've got a different element one. Yeah, I think the thing that makes the bouncing so compelling in Vorlex Pit is that you really can, because the enemies are in little squares, right? You can really kind of work the bounces. And you can also play it in a totally kind of no-brained way that you don't really care about that and you don't give it too much attention. And the reason that game is really so compelling is it kind of lets you kind of go back and forth between paying attention and not paying attention, you know? This is still pretty great, but I think like Emmanuel said in the chat, it's kind of hard to tell where the ball's going to bounce. So when I'm playing this, I'm not really paying much attention to where I'm trying to get the ball to bounce. Although if there's a space like this where I think it will generally hit more enemies, then I might occasionally go for that. But most of the time, I'm really just prioritizing what's top of the screen. But there are some moments where it's like, okay, I want to go for that hole in the middle because that's going to bounce around and hit more. But I think because the enemies are relatively fast, it does make me feel like I should prioritize the top even when I do see opportunities to do something cool. So maybe that's something where it will change as the game goes on, but I tend to find I'm either in a position where I just always need to hit the stuff at the top because I'm losing, or if I'm doing well enough, I'm just kind of clearing it so quickly that I don't really care where I'm aiming. So I do think maybe slowing them down a bit might be good. The sort of pressure is too high for it to feel like you ever need to focus on anything other than the stuff that's closest to you, you know? Okay. We've got the lightning ball, so if I go to loadout, can I... I haven't unlocked the slot. It costs an iridescent shard. We don't have that yet. Okay, so we've got quite a, like, big... seems like we've got quite a big incremental tree of... stuff to unlock new features. Critical hits, increase the base ball damage, reduce the cast time. Let's do that. Let's do that twice and get the basic damage of the ball up as well. Okay, claim the reward for that. And when we've dealt 1k more damage, we will get a shard and we can unlock the slot for our second ball. I feel like I've always got goals here. And I quite like that some of them I kind of know what I'm going to get. You know, it's a good mix of just collecting resources and you'll work out what to use it for later versus, oh, I really want to get that specific thing. I like having a mix of different types of rewards like that, like specific ones and much more open ones. Okay. I'm doing good here. Okay, so these guys are... We're doing like 20 damage per character, so we're going to need to kill about 50. About 50 guys to get the next big milestone reward that we're waiting for to be able to have a second ball in play. Second special ball. So, for folks who are Patreon members and part of the Discord, if you haven't watched Vari and Pangbot's talk on incremental games yet, very strongly suggest you watch it, even if you're not really that interested in incrementals, because it is a cool piece of design history, and it helped to solidify some thoughts I'd been having about incrementals and their popularity and this weird kind of phenomena where people are acting like they're this new hotness when they seem to have been around forever and have always been quite popular. Because for me, it's like, I think there are a lot of game developers that have never really thought about what makes a type of game casual, right? And like, having a game where you feel like you're making a lot of progress, but it's not like pulling you back for failing and stuff like that. That's kind of fundamentally what makes a game casual. And it's so kind of weird to me that people act like, oh, it's a surprise that this kind of casual format of game is doing so well compared to, like, I don't know, like hardcore action games and Souls-likes and stuff like that. It's it has a naturally bigger audience because it doesn't require people to like train particular skills, and that's not what everyone plays games for, and it's not even what the majority of people seem to play games for. So it's not surprising that they're popular, but also in my mind they've been popular for a long time. And in that talk that's over on the Discord, I think it's like an unlisted video now, like Vary was saying, you know, Roblox has had those kind of clicker tycoon games for 10 years. The ones that Pang talks about in the talk are the ones that I was more familiar with. Your kind of cookie clickers and stuff like that. They've been around forever, and they're popular because they're like a fundamentally casual type of game. And one of the things which came up in that, I haven't got my Iridescent Shard yet, was like people look at a format and they take the wrong part of the format. So all of these kind of node buster likes are, you know, let's close that again. People think that the point is to make the core gameplay of Node Buster, and it's like, no, what people want is generally like an interesting little micro game that doesn't take very long, and then a tech tree where you make slightly crunchy economic decisions, but often ones which you can't really make wrong. You know, there's not an order that I can unlock this stuff in this game that completely breaks the game for me, you know? And people kind of forget that their kind of micro game that you play between the upgrading bit needs to be cool and fun, and not just exactly the same as it was in the last popular game of that type. Well, we're clearing it pretty quick now. That's satisfying. So in about 10 minutes, we've got to a point where we're clearing it this quick, which feels decent pace-wise. Because I think that's the sort of comparison that players make that gives them the sense of progress. You know, like, it's one of the reasons why you do perhaps want to make players go back through earlier stuff, because you don't feel the benefit of those tech tree upgrades if you're not using them against the earlier stuff. If the game is constantly scaling up with you the entire time, you never get those moments of like plowing through the early game and feeling overpowered. Maybe we'll get a magic upgrade at some point that shows us the angle we're going to bounce off of at, because I do feel like I'm missing that little bit of skill shot stuff. But I mean, if it is something we unlock later on, then that's fine as well, because what that will do is, you know, if we knew more about the bounce off angle, then trying to angle that to score additional hits and like do really tricksy shots, that would become like an extra mini game within the game. So having that as something to unlock later is probably better than having it as a core feature, because it kind of adds this extra little skill test at a moment where people might potentially be getting bored. So I hope we're going to see that on the skill tree. I don't know if there's a way I can look ahead and look for stuff like that, but I'm going to check when we finish this run. So we'll go back to the core magic tree. Yeah, so a lot of it's hidden, so we don't know what's going to be next. We can gain an extra heart. We're going to go and unlock our next ball slot. Yeah. Poison Burst. I haven't used that. Okay, and then we go back to the talent tree. And look here. What do lightning balls do? Oh, they've got a chain strike. Let's make the chain strike as chain strikey as possible. Okay. Next time I'm putting them all in the generic tree. Creator of this, also one of the folks that made Button Box for our collab jam a couple of months ago. One of the, well, it was the winner, wasn't it? But really kind of memorable little experience that was, and just so much kind of charm and humor goes into Wordnaught's character designs. Yeah, the sound design is wonderful. It's I think once when you're making one of these, I think once you get the sound design principles, it's not too hard to do. But it's a easy thing to go wrong on, where you're basically trying to make quite a chilled out game where people can zone out. But it does still need to have this effect of like stuff is blowing up, stuff is getting destroyed. And it's like, well, how do you do a sound design approach that, accounts for both of those things? That it's a chilled out game of destruction. And this is pretty well built in that regard, with all of these little puffy sounds that indicate that something is being destroyed, but they're not in your face with it at all. Train magic. Okay, let's have a look around. We can get more lightning. We can get more death explosions. We can begin each run further into the assault, skipping the first waves. That costs 2 shards, which we don't have yet. Faster basic balls. There we go. Couple more runs, and then we'll go and check out Orb Magi, which is a little bit harder than this because Pinball just has quite a harsh fail condition. Pinball, it's just like, oh, you missed this one thing, all of your life is gone because a ball only doesn't have a health bar. But I do really like Orb Magi. I'm looking forward to playing it again. Got a similar good thing going for it in terms of the sound design and that kind of poppy, crackly, satisfying sound design that's not overwhelming. I do like the way that the cooldowns of the spells are turned into that radial around the aiming thing as well. I didn't see the Q on that quick ability. I need to start using that ability. I mean, I saw it was there in the loadout screen, and then I kind of forgot about it. Poison can now stack. Okay. When a poison ball hits a poison target, spread the poison to nearby enemies. That's nice, because that introduces, like... That's the thing that introduces a potential skill shot if you're paying attention, right? I can deliberately target already poisoned enemies with my poison ball, or it can be a fallback. Like, most of the time it's just going to act as a kind of fail-safe, so that if you're already hitting a poison thing, something else gets poisoned, right? But you can also, like, deliberately use it that way. It's neat. Yeah, I've got the Q ability, which is that poisons everything. So I want to make sure I use that when a new wave appears, right? So we've got a new ability. We've worked out a little kind of heuristic for it, which is basically like, you know, use the Q ability on a new wave, because that will maximize the amount of things that get poisoned by it. So don't waste it like there when we've only got one thing on the screen. So tempting to use it then, but we'd already popped a few of them. So we want to try and time that Q press for when there's a totally new wave. Like there. Yeah, I feel like this is a very well-balanced mix of active and passive stuff. I don't really feel like I'm getting overwhelmed. And then when I hit the point in the level where I'm going to die, because it's only 3 hearts instead of like a big health bar, as soon as you hit the point of friction in the progression where you don't really have enough damage output to push back, you know, here I'm having to... There's a little bit of friction. I could fail here if I really didn't pay attention for a couple of minutes. But when I hit the point where it's starting to get much too hard for me, I die quite quickly, which I think is generally quite good. And it's one of the benefits of having this less granular health system of just a couple of parts. It's like, okay, you've not been paying attention, or you've hit the point in the progression where stuff is just too hard for you. You're going to die pretty soon in, like, you know, probably in 10 seconds of that realization. And I think that works very well for what we're doing here. Bear. I don't remember seeing the bear yet. I probably have, but I've got a bear and a beetle. Okay, let's see what we can get. Any main upgrades? Extra heart? Sure. A ball's damage is increased each time it hits an enemy. Up to 5 times per throw. Yeah, that's pretty good. More Death Explosion magic missiles, please. Okay. The Q ability seems to get stuff that's not on the screen yet. It's just everything in the current wave. So, as soon as we see one start to cross the line, we can cast Q and it will still get everyone, I think. Yeah, I mean, I imagine it is quite relaxing to just have on in the background. I am finding it's kind of putting me in some kind of mellow brainwave zone where I forget to speak. Which is probably a good thing from a play perspective. I'm also just quite tired this morning, I think. I was up quite late, reorganizing the room behind me, trying to sort some lighting out. Trying to fix my streaming profiles so I had like a daytime profile and a nighttime profile set up so I wouldn't keep messing with the color grading and stuff. Sender Unknown said, random thing, what should I do if I download some model and use it in my game, but somewhere down the line that model link is gone and I can't credit the creator anymore? I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, my guess is as good as yours, really. It's not... I mean, maybe if you really need to use it, put a message in something. Increase the number of balls fired by lightning barrage. We can't do that yet. Reduce the cooldown of lightning barrage. Okay. We haven't activated that yet. Let's go to loadout and see. Oh, we don't have it yet. And we need a second spell slot. But we can try. Let's do that. Unleash a barrage of 3 lightning bolts instantly. So we're going to try the lightning-based ability. I'm going to move on to the next game soon. It looks like there's quite a lot of... We've got 3 elements. And I think although you can eventually get everything in the game unlocked and firing at once, I think the decision is really about, like, what do you prioritize early on? Might be satisfying to occasionally see a different coloured crystal that is worth more. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how the crystal economy is working, but I like to occasionally have to watch out for a special coloured crystal and go, ooh. Last shopping trip, and then I'm gonna switch over to Orb Magi. Let's have a look further up. So snipe, a ball's damage is multiplied against the first enemy it hits. Wizard shield, it's like a bubble shield thing. Trick shot, each time the ball bounces off a wall, its damage is multiplied. That's pretty neat. That feels like a fun thing to play around. Increase the damage of, yeah. It's good. It's good to see it with more stuff in as well. I mean, I haven't played this for a few months, but it's pretty great. And despite having played Borlex Pit, I still feel like I could sit down and play this game for a few hours and complete it and feel like I'd had a different sort of experience, even though there's a lot of similar stuff going on in it. So Orb Magi was supposed to be in the Steam Pins and Pegs Fest, and we kind of the dev wasn't able to get it in time because something about the page for the demo specifically wasn't accepted. So I'm going to play it as download now. And let me just extract it. This is the demo. Blib blub. I hope you like it. Have fun. Oh, that's interesting. What's going on here? Because you guys can see the Godot screen right there, right? But what I'm seeing is... There we go. Yeah, it's capturing now. Okay, so we're doing a similar sort of thing. We're going in the Arcanium. No, it's not updating. What's going... Oh, have I got it open twice? Is something going on like with 2 windows of... Nope. So that's weird because you can see the cursor from the game, but I am moving the character around and it's not updating. Let me just do a quick jig with what's going on here. Change it to game capture. I've had this before. I think there's something with certain Godot setups that does it. Every game engine seems to have a different sort of beef with streaming setups in some way or another. You just... Come on. Just not letting me drag anything across. 1 second. Try that again. Okay, it's not letting me resize anything, so we're just going to have to work like this for this one. Sorry if some stuff gets cut off. I've got a continue option. Oh yeah, that's because we're right at the start of the game. Okay, so I can change my character here. That's cool. I can be human or little goblin. I love the side view run with the swinging arms and the swinging head. That's very cute. I'm going to be the goblin girl. We've got a gem altar, we've got a gacha machine, we've got the pinball machine, and the pinball's the main game. Don't know what the other things do. I like... okay, the gem altar is doing upgrades, and the gacha machine is doing random stuff, but we don't know what it is yet. Exciting. Just... What's the background music like? There we go. Yeah, this game is beautiful. I really love... I mean, I always liked the aesthetic of this. When I played it and it was just the core game and didn't have the arcade surround. But there's something very cool in coming into this sort of grey and pastel... this kind of art style after being in that more colourful surround. It fits together, right? It all goes together, but... I don't know why my magic is going up when I'm not doing anything, though. Am I cheating? Do I play, can I play with the... Yeah, play with the gamepad, I think. Let's go. So, R button is to shoot the ball, and then doing the... A large Algae grows everywhere and destroys stuff. Shoots sparkling stars at enemies when active. Shoots exploding paper hats in different directions. Slightly increases coin. Let's go with the algae. That sounds fun. It says it grows algae everywhere, but I don't know. I don't know what we mean by everywhere yet. I remember someone saying before that some of the art in the actual pinball game is from a like relatively well-known art pack. I mean, if so, this is a very good use of it, and I hope the original artist sees it and is like, cool. Because I suspect people that make art packs, that's like a big part of the appeal, is seeing people do stuff with it that you wouldn't have expected or whatever. I just want a pinball. So it wasn't super clear if I like earned anything or anything through that little run. So I'm not quite sure what the magic is and how that relates to the bar at the top. I love the VFX for the bar at the top, but I'm also not super sure how I'm scoring. It seems like that goes up even when I just sit there without playing the game. Oh, we've gone into a different dimension. This is a different table layout. We found like a mini game where you get to just blast stuff here. Neon laser spawns a laser that's rotating around your orb. Yes, please. That's a very cool adaptation for a ball in this kind of game. Because it's not like the garlic in Vampire Survivors, it's not always going in every direction. So when it does hit stuff, it feels really lucky. Oh, I need to remember to use my... I need to trigger the special zappy wand thing with Y. So we've got up at the top right, the things called frills are like the items we can use actively. I think. Go back to the Arcanium. I'm going to change character. Have I got anything for that? I've got 2 pink things. Ah, insert coin. Don't mind if I do. Enigma Rose. Got it. I don't know what it is. Gem Altar needs 1. Direct orb damage up. Okay. Reroll. Reroll frill choice. Oh, I see. It's a skill tree that way. Okay, that wasn't super clear at first, but I get it now. Right, we've upgraded the basic orb damage twice. Yeah, it's kind of Vampire Survivors type stuff. I mean, there's a couple of games in the Fest that have the similar sort of premise, really, of like using pinball and doing it with Bullet Heaven. I think it all comes down to like how much of the emphasis is on where your ball is and how much of it is just kind of like spawning stuff out that randomly deals loads of damage. Umbrella shield shields your orb from reflections and damages enemies. Giant cartoon bomb. You probably know what this is. I do. I've got to select the giant cartoon bomb. Wait, did I... am I supposed to... do I shoot the giant cartoon bomb with my ball? Was that what happened then? Yep, the Pins and Pegs Fest is missing out by not having Orb Orb Magi because Orb Orb Magi has a giant cartoon bomb. Hell yeah. There they are. Oh, you can't bounce them up with the pegs though. They just exploded on my flipper. Not very giant cartoon bomb of you. There you go. Ah, there, it worked that time. I think they just exploded because that was when the timer hit. These look like little kind of... They look like little kind of Aztec or Mayan, isn't it? Quetzalcoatl type pictures. Bombs are important. Everything needs a giant cartoon bomb. I think what makes giant cartoon bombs so great is that they are very mischievous, right? They're an incredibly mischievous symbol when we think of like Acme villains in cartoons throwing a giant cartoon bomb. And yet at the same time, they're sort of a representation of one of the worst things you could possibly do to another human being. And that's why they're fun, I think. Like a car bomb. Real life, not fun. But games allow us to take these things and what's the word? Transmute them. I don't have a gun, Rob. I keep writing letters to the government to say, look, I know guns are not legal in the UK, but I personally think I'm the only person that could be trusted with one, so let me have one. I'm sure it won't be bad. So yeah, you can't sing Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix to me because I would never... First of all, I would never shoot anyone. I definitely wouldn't shoot my woman for messing around with another man. And either way, I don't have means, even if I did have motive, because I don't own a firearm, so... I love the way that the character winces when you lose a ball as well. Right, let's go and see what else is in the gacha machine. Gacha machine! Ah, debug get coin. Yeah, I will debug get coin, thank you very much. Moon laser. So is this adding them to the pool? It's sort of not always kind of clear. I think the UX in the menus sometimes feels a little bit unclear of what I'm supposed to be doing with my gamepad. And then sometimes with like the gacha machine, it's not super clear where stuff is going, you know? I think one of the things about this is there's an opportunity to like have a little plaque on the machine itself that's just a permanent reminder of how this works. You don't have to have pop-ups and stuff then. I'm just upgrading my orb. And then we need 5 for all the other stuff. Although, kill combo. Spook streak reset time value is reduced by 0.1. Okay. Couple more rounds. Ooh. still really want to, every time if I ever play a pinball game with a controller with an analog joystick on, I still at least want the option for the hammer to be pulling back either of the sticks and letting it go. Like, for me, it makes sense for it to be on the right hand because I'm right-handed and also it's on the right-hand side of the screen, but either of the analog joysticks kind of set to have a kind of pull back and release thing with the launch hammer. That would be cool. I know I said that last time, but it just feels... I also don't like pressing the bumper button to shoot because it just feels a bit kind of quirky that you're pressing shoot and then one of the bumpers is going off. Look at that guy. Ghosty guy. I love that we can teleport out to these little side scenes. Sprite Kazoo calls a sprite swarm which will follow your orb and hurt enemies. Oh, is that what that blue stuff is in the background? Those little sort of like pale purple things. Is that my sprite swarm? I think it is. Oof. No. Just want to get the sound effects up a little bit louder. Huh. I mean, I don't think most people would play it like this, but I'm sat in front of quite a big screen, so... I feel like the stuff to do with the active abilities is quite far over onto one side, well, this side actually, and it makes it quite easy to forget about. Arcanium. Can't afford anything here. So generally, the pink resource is something we're getting all the time that we're using for our tech tree upgrades. And then the coins, the gold coins, are to basically... seems like gradually unlock the other power-ups and stuff in the game, and that's something that takes a longer time to earn. I think maybe you want to make sure that you know, that mechanic of like unlocking the gacha is introduced quite early, so people understand that's a goal to aim for as well. So even if normally you might only earn a coin every like half an hour or something playing the game, I would still make sure people get one after like the second or third run of the game, just to, and then like probably make it so that everyone gets the same thing first, so that you don't end up with like, if it is randomized gacha, you don't end up with like some people having a much worse experience with the progression because they don't unlock something that is good the first time round, you know? Yeah, I would just, if that's kind of the motivator to get through the game and to kind of keep grinding it, is the skill tree and the gradual unlocking of the weapons through the gacha, then I just make sure that people, I mean, you've got a debug in to let people do that here anyway, but in the full game I would try and onboard people into giving them one of those onboard people by giving them one of those coins nice and early, you know? The visual design of this is very good. I think having the ball be this kind of hot color is very helpful as well, because it kind of feels more far forward. I can't remember the name. There is a name for that effect where certain colors like change the perceived depth of things. But in terms of like how the game is working with your eyes and your head movements and stuff, like someone was just talking about in the chat, I find I'm looking at the situation and then noting where the ball is as a kind of peripheral thing. I'm not super like directly following the ball. This is a neat little bonus adventure, whatever's going on here. I'm not doing anything. We've gone into full pachinko land now, but it's cool. A pachinko with a hidden pinball machine at the bottom to keep us going. Give me more of them sky lasers. Yeah, it's a bit Terraria coded, especially those little side quests where we get the different colors and it's a little bit planty or whatever. Joe, I really like those little pocket dimension side quest things. It allows you to do some color variation as well without losing this kind of core gray and pink thing, which is such a cool sort of like core aesthetic for the game. And then to be able to take a break from that so that there's a bit of a contrast. It's just really great art direction. The sound is really satisfying. I think bring the bass level of the sound up a little bit because like I think people in the chat couldn't necessarily hear it when it's all getting smushed together on a stream. But okay, we got a coin legitimately this time, I think. Goblin hat. I thought I already had Goblin hat in the mix. And then, like someone said, this is quite dark. I think all this needs to make sense is to have like a screen edge around it and then a filter over it. Because everything else, it's kind of funny, everything else has got the CRT filter on, but then when we go on here, we can barely see the CRT filter because it's lighter than the black. But just having a very light kind of lip edge of the screen so that we're reminded we're in that little arcade machine when we go there. I feel like this is probably on your radar anyway as something you might intend to do. What have we got? Reroll frill choices, kill combo bonuses, unlock squishy for the start of every run. I want squishy. Gravity shield. Effects that shield against gravity attackers are... Gravity attacks are 0.01 times more effective. That seems... that seems like a number that is meaningless, but I will give it the benefit of the doubt. I mean, you could even have some of these little goobers from the main game like floating around in the background of the skill tree. Just make them very, very faint, you know? Just have like those fireworks going off or something to make it feel a bit more like, okay, it's a skill tree, but we have presented it as an arcade game machine in the arcade, so let's lean into that a little bit without making it so visually noisy that you can't like actually do the skill tree. It's very satisfying getting up into that little area because these I mean, just this is just a regular pinball thing, but when you have a second section like that area at the top, getting into it feels like you've passed a little internal skill test, although that time it was quite random. So then you want something neat to be able to do when you're up there, and I think the way that is built with that little rotational set of enemies to take out at the top is neat. It's also a good example of like what you can do with digital pinball that you can't do very easily with analog pinball, right? Because we've got them rotating in a ring and they can be destroyed. And that's always an interesting... I mean, this applies to card games as well. When you're making a game based on a physical game, how many of your design decisions are going to be like based on the actual affordances of a real pinball machine or a real deck of cards, and how many of them are to do with like subverting that in some way and doing things only a computer can do, right? So I don't know if we've got any other like Hearthstone players in the chat. I've played Hearthstone pretty much since it came out, and Hearthstone has always done things that like you couldn't do with physical cards, like summoning a card you don't have, and like looking at stuff in the other player's deck without them looking at it, and like doing stuff about what order the cards are in your hand, which, you know, you can't enforce in a real card game, but you can on a computer. And quite early on they made a decision to like very heavily lean into that, and the point at which they had the discover mechanic, which is like look at 3 cards that you don't own from a category and pick one of them, you know, discover a spell, discover a goblin, discover a weapon, whatever. That was really that turning point where it was very clear that the design ethos for that game was like, okay, it's a card game, we get all of this familiarity from Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and stuff, but we are going to fundamentally do stuff that you couldn't do in an analog card game, and it's benefited from that immensely. And I think that's a kind of lesson that applies to something like this as well. You're taking, like, people know how to play a pinball machine, they understand what to expect from pinball, and then in your project you're going to have this balance of like, how much of my game actually is pinball and how much am I just using pinball to give people a certain amount of what they expect, and then innovating on that with stuff that is only doable in a digital pinball machine and not a real one. Squishy can catch balls. Hey Squishy, it's time to squish. Right, I think this will be my last run on this one. And then maybe I might actually trigger a vote in the YouTube chat for which of the other games we'll check out in the last hour. I'm trying to still fit a lot of streams in this week and next week, but summer holidays and kids being at home is making things not difficult. I'm just trying to make sure I spend sufficient time with them, because that's what you're supposed to do, apparently. You can't just like feed them and then throw them outside for their kennel. I've checked. I asked the social worker. They were like, no, you absolutely can't put them in the kennel. And I said, well, what's the point in having the kennel then? Like, I bought a special child kennel for the garden and you're saying I can't even use it. Wasteful. And they said, well, have you considered getting a cartoon beagle that could sit on top of the kennel and pretend to be an sort of airplane pilot? A World War II dogfighter. I'm not getting a beagle just so that I've got something to put on top of my child kennel. Yeah, Balatro does stuff you couldn't do with physical cards, or you could, but it's like, I think that's part of what makes Balatro feel slightly subversive as well. Obviously, you've got the art direction where it's kind of glitchy, and you've got this slightly hostile narrative design, right? Where the jokers and stuff are, you know, when the game is tutorializing itself, it's like, this joker is evil. This game is like wants me to lose, and it's laughing at me and stuff. There's something a little bit subversive feeling about Balatro, and I think, you know, it's an indie game for normies that don't play indie games, right? And I say that lovingly, because it's like, you only need to understand poker hands to play the game. You don't need to have played a million roguelikes or something. That's just a structure that is there in the game to, you know, make it work. But really, anyone who understands the basics of poker, which I didn't, which is why I didn't get into it so much, right? Because I don't have the runs locked in my head. I'm learning them fresh from Babalatro when I play it. But there's something a little bit naughty feeling about like editing the cards. And it just kind of evokes this thing that you wouldn't do in the real world, and that makes the game kind of feel like there's a little bit of kind of like a tone to it of you're doing something naughty and subversive. And the whole game has a lot of that work through it, you know? I remember a similar thing when they started making legacy board games like Risk Legacy, and a big part of the novelty of those was the destructive element, because the way that legacy board games work is it's like you're playing a board game, but you have a campaign of it like you would a tabletop role-playing game. You might play like 12 games of Risk with the same people, but after each game something about the board or the cards or whatever changes. And some of that will be different for every group, and some of it is destructive. So it's like you know, I think spoilers for Risk Legacy. I think there's one in Risk Legacy where like a country is like no longer exists on the map, that kind of thing. Can't really remember how they handle it. But yeah, it's a big part of the appeal is just like, oh, I wouldn't do that normally, you know. But I think that's like a very general product design thing of like, how do you... It stopped. What is going on? I can't move anything. Like, how do you give people a gimmick that still actually does something for them in the design and isn't just a gimmick? Joe, I think I've broken it and I don't know why. I don't know if there's some way I can save a log or something. But I'm stuck. The level is still moving as well, but my ball is not. Everything else is still working. My abilities are fireable. But I'm just hanging here. Do a quick run. Yeah, I mean, this one's not in the... Oh yeah, the A button is not coming up on this menu as well. Yeah, I don't know what's causing that. Sorry, Jill. I'm going to move on to the next one. That's Orb Magi. The demo is not on Steam yet, but there is a page for it if you want to go and check it out. Let me just... What is going on here? Now my display capture won't move. Why is everything being difficult today in streaming land? Oh, I see. I see. That's why. A sec. There we go. Okay, so what I want to do now, this is only going to be folks that are on YouTube. I'm going to show you these 4 games, and then I'm going to set up a poll, and I'm going to play 2 more games from the fest, but we're going to base it on... Shh! We're going to base it on... sorry, I just got Joeception because I had to open YouTube to do the poll. I'm going to do a poll... and the 2 most popular ones from this list, which are the ones that I liked the look of from the fest, are gonna be what we check out after a very brief coffee break. So start a poll. Which other 2 games should we check out? They all have balls in. Okay, Cult of Pin, Ploink. I will show you the pages and trailers. Steve's Warehouse, and Rollers of the Realm. Okay, I'm gonna show you these and then start the poll. Rollers of the Realm. Actually, let me go into the Pins and Pegs games Steam. I'll go into the Fest and we'll find them from there. I don't know which ones have giant cartoon bombs. So look, Demon's Tilt, very similar game to Jill's. It's doing similar stuff. It's the same combination of things. It's going to be interesting to kind of play that at some point and see what the difference is. But I don't think these types of games are a zero-sum game. I think there's always space for more of these. So Cult of Pin. This, out of all the pinball games, this is the one that kind of appealed to me most. You can kind of see why, right? It's like a dark, esoteric, occult theme. I really like the way this game looks. It's kind of cute and creepy at the same time. We've got a couple of different tables. I like the look of that one. That's one of the options. We also had in the short list, I put Ploink on there. This feels like the safe option. I mean, I've had games on stream that were very similar to this. This is basically Peggle, but you're upgrading the pegs as well as your set of balls, I think. That looks quite neat. I would like to see how that works and kind of feel some of the engine building in that game. And then I think the other two that I had on my personal list that I will put in the poll were... these were kind of wild cards from further down. I was trying to pick some different stuff. So I was gonna... so Steve's Warehouse, Physics, Roguelike, Chaos. This is kind of looks like similar to Ploink, but we're doing a droppy mergy game. I like these. I had that Magic Cauldron one a little while ago. I kind of liked learning the object interactions in that one, so I'd be interested to see that one. Round Guard is quite good. I've been playing this on mobile, but I didn't put it in the list because I already played it. And then the last one that I'd put, it's absolutely wild. There is an infected mushroom pinball. That is a psych trance group from years ago that the hippies used to like. I can't believe it's got a pinball game. That's very, very strange. And then, oh yeah, Rollers of the Realm. I thought this looked interesting. It's a kind of like Fable-esque, cute fantasy thing. We're doing pinball here, but we're doing hitting characters with the pinballs, which is a similar concept to Round Guard. Round Guard is like you're doing a fantasy dungeon with a pachinko machine and you're flicking things around. I quite like the way that this game was presented. Yeah, Maui, that might be Dogpile you're thinking of. I haven't played that, but I would like to. So I'm just going to start the poll like so. And then I'm going to go and get a coffee, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we will check out the 2 most popular things on the poll. Okay, so let's look at the poll. Rollers of the Realm, 36%. Cult of Pin, 29%. Steve's Warehouse and Ploink came in third and fourth. Okay, cool. So we're going to check out the 2 other pinball games. And I'm going to check out Rollers of the Realm first, because I like the look of all of these, but I'm least excited about Rollers of the Realm out of the 2 pinball games. So let's go to that one first. It does look funny though. I quite like the commitment to like doing this with actual characters. Right? It's a little bit cute and whimsical. It kind of feels like something like Fable to me. We could have gone in the round guard direction and had characters that were balls or something. Doesn't look like we're doing that here. You know, they're kind of goofy looking. They're a bit whimsical, but they're not like little balls with a helmet on, which is how a lot of games with this sort of premise or mix of things does stuff. Rollers of the Realm, press any key. Okay. New campaign. 2014 to 2022. Hang on. When did this first come out? Is this an old game? Arcade game? How do I found it? Is it like a... Yeah, it is an old game. It's from 2014. Okay, let's check it out anyway. I think it's still an interesting reference point for some of the other games that people are working on. Let's go challenging. So yeah, this is like a...
3 great warriors were granted immortality and an immense power with which to rule our land. Yet as so often happens in our tales, an envious witch appeared. She cursed the 3 warriors and imprisoned them for eternity.
I mean, it even has Fable voice acting.
Few believe this tale, but it is fitting of our realm. Conflict is endless, and there hasn't been a king or upstart that doesn't claim to be one of the 3 warriors incarnate.
I'm not sure I need this for
the same thing.
The intro to this type of game, really.
A war on tyranny. War is tyranny. It took my family, my village, my childhood. It's as if the war were declared on me, as if I were the witch.
What is going on here? What is this?
Rolling from town to town, in search of a little coin from the pockets of those who would profit in these times.
Okay. I'm a witch who wants some coins. Because my family died.
The better pickings will be in town. We'll head for the gates.
I think this could work, right? But I think the version of this that works for me... It might be that I had the sound up too loud and it was echoing the mic. I don't know. I think the version... This kind of feels like it... Even though it's kind of whimsical looking, it feels like it takes itself slightly too seriously for what is going on, which is like putting expository narrative in a pinball game. And I think the version of this that would work for me is if it turned it up like to 10 and it was doing all of this stuff, but it was like even more dramatic about it. One of the things I liked about the kind of narrative design and creative direction in Borlek's Pit is like, on one level, it's really goofy. It says Babylon has fallen, right? Babylon is called Babylon. Everything has ball in the title. All of the place names are like the something X something. There's some like really goofy stuff. But the kind of tone of the art and the way that the locations look is very sort of like grimdark JRPG. And there's something about that deliberate pushing in a couple of directions that is quite compelling. I don't know what to make of this so far. Woof! The dog says woof. Press space to launch the ball. Use A and L to activate the flippers. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Either side of the keyboard, space in the middle. Okay. So, I'm trying to get into the town, guys. It's time. That's the launching the ball sound.
Off you go, lass. Don't need your lot around town.
Yeah. Ice-T says, stop rolling your ball round the corner.
You'll need to distract the guards so I can slip past. You up for it, boy?
What is happening? Build up mana, blue points to enable Rogue's special ability called Cool Dog. I will. I'll do that. That's what I've always wanted to do. I was going to do that anyway.
Excuse me?
Oh, she's a rogue, so you hit the characters and you get money. Eurocables can sewer without penalty. Okay, that's the sewer. That makes sense. When there are no threats on the playfield, as shown by the green sewer icon below. Okay, so only if there's threats on the playfield. There's lots of stuff I really like here. I love the way that the oh, sorry. I need to shrink this down a little bit so we're not missing stuff for the chat. So the stuff the spring, I keep forgetting what the launcher is called in Pinball. I'm sorry. The spring on the right. Look at that. That's just so nice. That's a really nice little, sort of like a battering ram, I guess. Oh no, it's a fist. It's like a big stone fist.
Oh, careful there.
And I think theming the player character around being a rogue is quite a good choice. If we're going to do this kind of taking it slightly too seriously route, then at least we're going for like the mischievous class. Special ability enable. Press space to call dog. Ah, we've got dog. Dog's here.
Oh, look at the little rascal.
It's just a ball.
When I was a lad. Oh, there's a good boy there.
Off with you.
Okay.
All right, that's enough. Oh, careful there.
So our dog ball is basically just like almost just setting a flag on the map to say that these guys are distracted now and you can finish the map. So the dog ability isn't really, I mean, in this case maybe it's being like we're being funneled to do a particular thing for the tutorial, but the dog ability in this case isn't like anything that you can use in a particularly skillful or unskillful way. It is just unlocking the win condition for the level, which is to get into there. Okay, cool. Press K to maneuver the ball right or S to maneuver the ball left. Okay, so we've got a nudge. Oh, I have to, that's really neat. I have to do my right flipper to open the top one to let it through after doing the bottom one. This is a little bit fiddly, but it's good. It's a good idea. Much too hard for an introduction of this mechanic. Like, I could see people getting totally stuck here. Yeah, there we go. Light all the torches in an area to reveal power-ups and special items. I will. Charms provide temporary multipliers to gold or mana collection. Ball goes up the stairs.
This is a sleepy little place. You smell anything worth stealing, boy? Well, let's make this...
Sausages.
We shan't wear out our welcome.
No, you can't hold it open yet. I had to do it at the right time. The rogue ball will pickpocket villagers when she strikes them from behind.
Excuse me?
So is this game building up to a point where we have a party and we cycle through them with each shot we do? Because that would be cool.
Good day. Good day.
Although it feels like it is very built around being a rogue and getting gold, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen.
Pardon?
A very clumsy pickpocket. I just flat out knock people over as I'm taking money out of them, out of their pockets.
All right, we better head out.
Now, where did I put my horse?
Are you going to be my new friend?
The blacksmith wants you out of his town.
The blacksmith can go hang himself.
Man, this is bleak.
All right. Beat some sense into him, boys.
Stand still, ye blurry knaves.
Very 2014 so far.
What do you think, boy? Should
Why doesn't the blacksmith simply unalive himself?
I can still take it.
Excuse yourself. Pardon me.
Go, dog. Shoot you with my furry dog balls.
leave the old drunk alone?
Big talk for a street rat. We know what you're doing around town. The blacksmith will want to see you.
Bit loud. Leave the dog out of this.
You're coming with us. Get back here.
Oops.
Where you going?
Ah, great. See, Rogue's gone in the sewer. It's all dog now. Dog's just out here, like, killing 10 dudes on his own.
You war. Finish them.
But you can't hit.
Stop it, dog.
No! Please don't!
Take your grandpa and leave town. Your mutt stays with us. The blacksmith fancies dog meat.
Jeez.
Please don't!
I really don't know what kind of discussions were had about tone when this game was being made, or yeah, I don't know. There's something weird going on here generally.
What were you thinking mouthing off to those thugs?
They insulted my honor.
What honor? You think you're a...
Where's your family, child?
My dog is all the family I have.
They'll kill you.
I'm trying to pull the face, but I can't.
You weren't so cautious when your honor was on the line. Where did he take my dog?
Cross town into his territory. I'll take you, milady.
I think I can do without your help.
It would be my honor to reunite you with your family.
Alright, but try not to throw...
Progress to next level, don't mind if I do. We've been to the main square, we're going to the shanty town.
The blacksmith resides.
I love these level layouts. I like the fact that, like, because the game structure is taking us from place to place in a place, it means we can kind of have these tight little single screen tables. Whereas the need for a pinball game usually is the table itself needs to be quite big and have separate areas and stuff. We're not doing that here. It's just like a little action puzzle within one scene, then we can move on to another one. The tone of the game is absolutely bizarre. But there's some good stuff here, and I do like this breaking it down into lots of little levels. I think the story, the fact that it exists at all, feels very much like this weird artifact of like European and American game studios thinking that games needed to have a story and to be worth a certain amount of money or whatever. It's very strange. Like, you can make a game set in a fantasy world like this with characters that look like this and everything without them being characters that that speak and stuff. It's very odd.
It appears I will not fit with the extra armor. You'll...
Okay. Oh, we can swap. We can manually swap our own characters now. That's cool. Oh, you can hold them open.
Allow me to clear the way.
Excuse me. Right. Oh, I was supposed to trap the flipper, trap the ball. Okay, so we're doing some weird stuff here. Ah, you can change. He needs to smash through that. Yeah.
Oh,
So he breaks objects. She can steal from characters.
another tight fit. After you.
Interesting.
Oh, God, feels so good.
So we're changing character in the... How do I do that? I could do it before. I don't know why I can't do it now.
Oh, God, feels so good. Ow.
Oh, they have to be in that kind of state to change character. Not like that, though.
Excuse me?
Please excuse us. We're just passing through.
Gonna be the mage.
No worries, little thief. You are
Yeah, I think the visual design should be a bit more
really wished.
dedicated to the pinball table rather than the illusion of it being a place. It is hard to see sometimes. I think the interruptions are weird.
What? Word travels on the wind in this.
Well, when you put it...
Like, I'm happy to be interrupted to be taught the game, but I don't care for the story is just tonally too strange for like what we're doing here. Rats and other vermin drain your mana. Don't do that. Aha. There's also just slightly too many buttons. Like, remembering what is nudge and stuff is... Is there... Can you play this with a controller? Yeah, okay. I think it might make more sense with a controller. So if I go back... Yeah, so I can nudge with the right stick. Either of the sticks is nudge, and then we've got... That feels way easier to remember. We did it.
This is the blacksmith's territory. We should move carefully.
Why is the blacksmith a bad guy?
Allow me to clear the way, milady.
That's what I do. I'm the way clearer guy. Ah, see, this has pull back and release on the joysticks like I suggested. It's just... Launch the healer. Revive the knight. A full mana bar can be used to revive a character. Tip, the healer ball collects an additional mana from destructible objects, enemies, and gold. That's what she does. That's her thing. She's the mana collector. What just happened there? I mean, the thing that's weird for me about this tonally is it doesn't... Like, the story takes itself seriously, and then there's no sense that any of it is supposed to be silly, you know? Whereas, like, Fable is a world where it takes itself seriously and then also has silly Terry Pratchett-esque stuff in it at the same time. I haven't seen any of that silliness here, although the art style and the way the characters are rendered kind of suggest it. Mana is full. Trap the ball on the main flipper and select the night ball. Okay. So how do I swap on the controller? How do I change character on here? Go and see what the settings says. No, settings. Swap characters. Left stick up. Okay. Oh. The need to trap the ball to change characters is strange. There we go. We're going to change to this guy. We're going to revive him. We've revived him. The Night Ball excels at close quarter combat. Collect mana and activate his shield ability. We're going to get these guys. Like, I feel like this game concept would work so well in like a reversed like a dungeon keeper type situation, right? Where we're the bad guys, characters are coming into our dungeon, and we have to defend our dungeon with our magical orbs, our elemental orbs. That just some mana. Cool idea. Yeah, if I was going to remake this as a modern indie game, I'd do it in a dungeon. You're the bad guy. Heroes are showing up. You bop them. And then maybe you build your dungeon and you build a series of these, like, pool table levels. And you get to put your own traps in and stuff.
Or sober, I'm sure.
Because making the ball into like a magical orb or something allows you to do this slightly taking itself seriously fantasy setting, but in a way that just makes more physical sense. I mean, I don't think this was literally an arcade game. I think that's just what they listed it as genre-wise, but it's too complicated to have been a real arcade game, I think. Might be wrong, but
Stay back.
They won't know what hit him.
Oh. Everyone dead. Everyone dead.
After you,
sober.
ladies.
I don't think we should let the Avowed devs see this, or this is what the next Pillars of Eternity game will be.
Can't hurt what you can't hit.
Not yet. Stay back. Fight on, friends.
For the realm!
It's too big. Can't even get rolling in the first place. Don't damage my flipper. Oh, that's why the flippers are bright green. They've got health bars. You gonna smash my flippers? Think again. Not happening, buddy. Okay, so I think the pit was only called the sewer for the tutorial, and now it's the party death thing, and you need the healer to get someone back, which is it's an interesting little dynamic. You know, you lose the rogue or the warrior, you need to deliberately use the healer to get it back. Lots of cool stuff in there. It feels so dated, and the thing is, like, I really like the way that this game looks and feels. I really like the game feel of it. I like all of the menus. I like the character art. There's something very strange about the structure of it, and it's like so committed to feeling like it's not just taking the trappings of a fantasy RPG and making that into a pinball game. It really wants to constantly be interrupting you with story, and the way that pauses the game is just very strange, you know. Like, I mean, we've played enough like first-person shooters and real-time games where characters just speak as you're playing the game. And if I were making something like this now, that would be something I would insist on, right? If we really want to make the player take some dialogue in, then we do it in between shots, and like the world keeps moving and a character pops up and talks. But I think it's okay to have a character say something while you're actually playing the game, and have a character like hint at something, like you're just playing the game and they pop up and talk and you're not reading it. It's just there as a subtitle and you listen to them. It's kind of strange that it's kind of done that way, but again, it's like 12 years old now. We're going to check out Cult of Pin. Let's compare these and see like what the difference is. It's going to be slightly pronounced, I think, because of the age difference of the games. Just want to have another quick look at Rollers of the Realm and see where it came from. Rollers of the Realm official website. Come on, show me. Oh, it's Atlas. Interesting. Atlas West. That's the company that makes Shin Megami Tensei, or used to, isn't it?
Star that doesn't claim to be one of the
Originally came out on the PlayStation 3. Contains fantasy violence and use of alcohol. Got Rollers of the Realm Reunion here as well. pretty much the same thing. Look at that. Look at that flipper glow up, though. Look at that. It's got like a little steampunk Frankenstein flipper. I love the character designs, but they look like they should be making fart jokes and stuff, and then you play the game and they're just like, no, we're actual serious fantasy characters. What do you mean? Sender, no, I mean, I might occasionally do a Fest-based stream, but this time it was really because we had 2 channel supporters who were in it, and I wanted to show those games, which are the first 2 on the stream, and then it's like a type of game that generally I like. Okay, here's how pinball works. Control the flippers with your mouse. That seems a bit perverted. Hitting bumpers feels good. Smashing into them until they explode is even better. Hit this bumper 5 times to proceed. Okay, it's got a little kind of radial health bar. That's cool. Well, it's a little bit hard to see when it's tilted away from you like that. It feels like maybe they should be oriented a different way. You can see there's like a health bar round the bumpers to show you how many times you need to hit them. On every table, there are 3 types of missions: ramp, target, and lane missions. Completing any of these will increase your damage. Activate all the lights to complete a mission. Tip: you can cycle the lights left or right using the corresponding flipper. Holding the right flipper to stop the ball first. This is called cradling. Okay. Cradle the ball. We're going for those lights up there, I think. Okay, so there's like sets of things you need to light up, like a normal pinball machine. You only get 3 balls per table. Here's a trick to save them from the drain at the bottom of the table. Hold a direction and nudge to save the ball. You can use nudge using arrow keys if you want more control over the duration the ball moves. Save this ball from the drain 3 times to proceed. Huh. Huh. So you nudge and press the flipper on it. Chaining together missions will trigger a powerful special effect called a ritual. Look for the mission with a matching light color to see which one to complete next. The Tempest Blue ritual is nearly complete. Hit the ball up the left ramp to complete the mission and trigger the ritual. So it looks like the blue bumpers are kind of the immortal ones, and the red ones are the ones that you can damage. Nice and clear color language in this game from what I've seen so far. And this is too much. Ah. Not that way. Not that way. Oh, nearly. Remember to find the ritual color on the table to see which mission to aim for next. Okay. Each ball has distinct stats and passive abilities. Clear a run with any ball to unlock its unique ball ritual. Okay. When an active bumper is hit, gain 1 damage and the target starts to burn. Let's try that. Let's do it. Beat Act 5 to beat Act 6 to complete this table. The blockers at the bottom of the table are immune until Act 2. This one uses the pull the joystick back to launch as well. That seems to be a really common thing. It's just, you know, it's mimesis. You know, you've got a thing on the controller that already feels like the physical thing you do in the game. It's become a norm for that to be the way that works. Okay. I'm going to go with the blue ball. The orange ball is a little bit not the right color for the table, I think. I think all the balls have a slight visibility problem, actually. You need like... They need like an aura around them or something. I don't know. There's something a little bit too subdued about the actual ball because everything is so flat shaded. I think the way that lines, like outlines, are used in this game makes it really hard to tell what's decorative. Like if this was a game I was involved in, I would insist that all of those lines on the background that are not collision based and are just decorative were like dark grey. And the game should only use black outlines for things that are actually collidable. So it's anything like that where there's just a flat decorative background shouldn't have those hard black outlines in it. It's really visually confusing. Like, you can look at any kind of cel-shaded action game. Like, look at Hades, for example, and look at the textures on the floor. There's never a black outline on anything that's supposed to be decorative like that. A little bit... It's a shame. I like what I see about this game. It feels great. Finding it a little bit hard to read, and I think that's only going to get worse if it gets kind of busy. Which it should do, right? Because it's pinball. But yeah, there's just a lot in this background art that is just getting in the way and hard to tell what's gameplay relevant. Okay, go back again. I don't think this has as many... this feels like quite a straight pinball game, despite the presentation. And... I don't think they've really leaned into, like, the bit where it's like, what are we going to do differently about pinball? I think the bit that they're going to do differently about pinball is all about the stuff you unlock and using a different ball on each level and stuff like that. But right, I need to master the nudge. Let me go back to controller controls. Nudge left stick lets me nudge a direction, I guess. Hey, Robin. It's pretty great. I feel a little bit disappointed that after all that preparation, it is just standard pinball. It feels like they're putting all of the like innovation into the meta game rather than doing stuff with what pinball is. And that feels like I'm gonna play on easy this time. Feels like a little bit of an abdication of game design to just make like a rethemed pinball where I can't seem to be able to do that thing to get my nudge myself back out of the pit. Very easy to die on this. And I'm not sure why I mean, we've played a lot of pinball games today. 3 out of 4 of the games have been pinball games. And so I know that I don't suck that much at pinball. Maybe it's kind of like with a platformer where some games have more leeway in terms of how fast the gravity is. Like this feels very fast, and I guess it's going for more of like a simulationist thing. I don't remember the ball ever falling this fast on Rollers of the Realm, and that's fine. But there's something about this game that to me kind of suggests it's going to be a bit different from just being a pinball game. But it feels much more like it's just going for a very simulationist physical pinball table. And the thing that makes it cult themed is that sometimes your ball is fire and sometimes your ball is poison or whatever. But yeah, I'm not really doing well enough to even beat the first table, unfortunately. So, and maybe that's what the pinball sickos want. You know, they want a game that's going to take them a while to master. But it feels like a strange choice for a modern game with this kind of theming that feels like it's very aware of like modern indie games and roguelikes and stuff. I think there's a way of making this game where it could have been a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more like just letting you get one over on it straight away, so you can get kind of onboarded. But I am just still having a lot of problems reading the table, and it's all of this like fussy line art stuff. I'm gonna do a quick show of what I mean, because I think these sorts of things are the things that you should care about in your visual design of your game, even if you're not an artist. So I think whenever we see a example like this, it is kind of good to quickly run over it. I'm just going to load up GIMP and show you what I mean about the lines. I will go back to the game in a second, finish off that run, but I just want to show you what I mean about outlines, because outlines can be very tricky. And I think if you have a visual element in your art style, you need to justify why it's there. And there's something weird about these black outlines here, and we've got black outlines here, and that's fine. That to me tells me that that's solid and collidable. But then when my eye is looking at all of this stuff here, I think that this is meaningful, and it's not. And none of this is meaningful. You know, this is collidable. And I'll show you, you know, Hades as an example. Right, this is an art style that is based on a drawn cartoon, right? So it's reasonably similar. We go and look. Let's zoom into that screenshot. And what do we see? Okay, we can see the occasional bit of line work where it looks like a comic book, but it's very rare to see like thick black outlines. And when you zoom out to normal screen size, you can barely see those lines at all. It just looks like blocks of color. And then the place we can really see the outlines is around the characters. So there is kind of like, and then the less important the thing on the floor is, the more faded it is. So even though we do have lines here, it's kind of faded to a grey. I think if you look at the visual design of Binding of Isaac as well. And like, this is the kind of stuff that if you learn it and you think about it, even if you're not a very good artist, you can still make a game that is like visually better. So this is grainy, it's distorted, we can't see it properly. But you can see the rule I'm talking about of like the most dangerous things, the most important things on the screen have a black outline. The other things on the screen do actually have an outline. We can find a better example. Like those, the poops and stuff. But it's like a darker version of the color. So like a brown thing will have a dark brown outline, right? The projectiles and objects and characters have a black outline. The stuff on the walls just has like a darker version of the color that it is. So grey things have a dark grey outline and stuff like that. Some pixel art styles will have black outlines around objects. Some will just have like a darker color of the main color. But having like a black outline around something usually suggests something in the visual language of that game. And it's very strange to have this kind of situation where we've got these things that aren't collidable in the background, and then the game is like visually telling us that they're more important than they are. So what I'm going to quickly do is just try and get hold of that. Try and get hold of that layer. So you can see what I mean. Collidable stuff. I mean, there might be a quicker way I could do this. Let me do with fuzzy select. Nope. 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 Threshold too high, like that. Let's just select a bunch of this stuff just to mask out the stuff that is supposed to be collidable in 3D. See that red thing up there, that's like two separate objects. This, it's weird because it's like this is a very like visually competent game that looks really, really good. And then when you start interacting with it, it's like, why is this? Why am I having these problems? And it's because I don't know, it just feels like maybe it's an art-led project where the need for certain things to be presented a particular way for like UX has been sort of put to one side. And it's strange because the art style and the theming and the title and everything to me screams, you know, slightly kooky indie game, not very physically realistic pinball simulation, but that's what it feels like. And I think if we compare this to the other pinball games that I haven't sucked so bad at, I think the gravity in this is just very unforgiving, maybe. And when you put those factors together of like the camera's following us around in an annoying way, the background has these outlines in it that make it look they kind of confuse your brain because your brain is reading for collisions and stuff that aren't really there. And then this kind of very harsh gravity, you put all those factors together and it's like, this is not the game I thought this was going to be. Put that on there. And then if I just select the actual illustration that's on the table, there's a shop up there. Maybe that's what we need to go in the shop more. And then maybe it's going to reveal to us how it's not a very fiddly, realistic pinball machine simulator. But it feels like that's what it's leaning towards at the moment. So even just like doing the thing that Hades does and having the lines in the illustration, but then just sort of taking the bottommost black of that and saying, no, we're not going to actually have a pure black. We're going to, is there a way I can do that? We're going to like take that bottom one out. I guess just brightening the whole thing up and turning the contrast down, right? Like that kind of thing. Like that's not perfect, right? But I think there's just some weird fighting going on between the bits of the game that are actually stuff you need to pay attention to play, and the stuff of the game that is put in to give the level its own identity. And yeah, it just feels like the art style is not made to fit the needs of the gameplay or something. I don't know. Like, you just need to wash it out a little bit more and not, you know, you can have all this rich color around the edge because that's not fighting with the space that the player needs to play in. Like, even if I were to like shade all of that, right? So if we go and get this dark blue from here and like colorize this slightly to that dark blue, like already to me that space is a lot more legible now because it's not like popping out at us as, you know, everything on there. There's like a red hole in the level, and when I first saw that, I could look at that and I could think, okay, well maybe that's supposed to be, you know, represent like a pane of glass over a pit of blood. That's cool. It's a cool idea, but my brain is telling me watch out for that hole in the ground, and that's not what we want here. And then, yeah, can we copy the ball? You're trying to set me up for some real skill tests of screenshotting here. Can we copy the ball? There's the ball. So, no, not going to cut it out very well because just watching me cut something out for ages is not interesting. But yeah, like look how saturated the ball is. Now, if we take away the main thing, if the ball is kind of saturated like that, it looks more important. If we do some sort of like color shading on the background, we make it darker, we make it less saturated. I don't know. There's like different approaches you can use, but having like all of this full color, harsh black outlines art as the flat plane of the game is just not serving it well, I don't think. That's what the game should look like, or some variant of that. It's really visually confusing. Okay, let's try a little bit more. Immediately doing better now that I think switching from that much calmer, puzzlier pinball game immediately to this made it feel really difficult. Which is not something you should usually have to worry about, right? But it's interesting in the context of a Steam Fest because, like, there's going to be people that, like, the Pins and Pegs Fest for me, the pachinko stuff is much more interesting because I like the kind of engine building aspect of that. And the pinball games, not so much, because they're a little bit more sort of stressful and you have to pay lots of attention the whole time you're playing. But what is going to happen is there's going to be people going to that festival page who just want to play a pinball game. And they're going to go through like 5 pinball games very quickly. So the one that makes, the demo pinball game that makes people feel good is probably going to do better than the one that is like maybe a more realistic simulation of pinball physics. That's my kind of gut feeling on that. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because the table isn't really big enough for us to need to move the camera. Just close my... Once all the bumpers are destroyed, the table boss will appear. Bosses are tougher, cast spells, and have a wall of tentacles protecting them. How dare they? Destroy it quickly, and you will unlock a bonus area. Take too long, and it will devour your spare balls. I hate it when that happens. Right, this is great. We've got to the bit that feels like Pinball Plus rather than just Pinball now. Oh, I just nudged myself into the hole. Try again. Let's see if there's anything we can do about the camera. Static camera. Let's turn the static camera on and see if I magically get better at pinball as well. I think I might do, you know. Nope, I don't. I don't. I lied. Robin is also in the V Club. I don't know what the name for that club is. I'm in that club. I did like telling people that I'd had them cut off. That's funny. I'm just acting like I didn't really know what it was. But I was going to do it anyway. It's just funny. Let's try and get that boss back up. I like the premise of having to like hit it from all the directions to knock its tentacles. The ritual altar. Filling the ritual altar grants you the power to activate a new ritual. Once unlocked, look for the mission bearing the ritual's icon and color. Okay, so multi-ball. I'm going to go for multi-ball, aren't I? I mean, come on. Okay, so the rituals are up in the top left. Multi-ball is green. We've got swirly whirly orange thing as well. Run over. I think this game is too stringent with... I think the main activity is... The main activity is easy enough, but it feels like you're giving us 3 balls because pinball has 3 balls rather than because it's what your game should have. And it's caught in this weird middle ground between like trying to provide a pinball-y pinball challenge for people who are here for that and trying to do a sort of run-based roguelike game. And there's literally no sort of reason you can't change the amount of balls to suit your video game, but it's kind of like you're taking a convention of the arcade in a game where you need to like pump money into the thing. It's like you've already got people's money when they buy your video game. Let them have more fun. I can't quite get the shunt out of the thing. Right. Try again. Oof. Oh. I think maybe they need to train you to do the ball saving thing a little bit more, because I sort of understand how to do it conceptually, but it's not quite their muscle memory yet. And like the tutorial needed me to do it 3 times in a row. Now I need to do it in the real game, and I'm just not prepared for it each time it comes around. It feels like I didn't really lock it in when I needed to. Oh. There we go. I got it that time. Open the flipper first, then do the nudge. That's the thing. I think that you really need to master that to be able to play the game. And that's the bit that makes it video gamey and not pinball-y. And also makes it feel less horrible that you lose the ball so easily. Or that you only have 3 balls or whatever. But if people haven't really mastered that before they get into the main game, and it's quite difficult because the tutorial tells you need it. But I think it needs to really reinforce that. Both when you need to do it in the main game and, I don't know, by making that tutorial... I don't know, maybe take 5 instead of 3, I'm not sure. But I think also the problem I had is the game told me to play with the mouse, which I didn't really want to do. And then I switched to the controller because that feels like more of a natural fit for a game with left and right bumpers for a start. And that means that I don't have the muscle memory of how I was originally taught in the tutorial to do the nudge save, right? Which it seems like it's really, really important. It's not just like a little cheat that you do occasionally. It's like a real kind of core part of the game that you're going to potentially do like dozens of times on a single table. And I think the particular thing I'm experiencing is because the game didn't ask if I would rather play with a mouse or a controller. It kind of hid the fact that it had a controller implementation, which I think is a bad move. Because if people go through that tutorial with one control scheme and then only learn of the other control scheme afterwards, then they haven't really done the tutorial, because the tutorial is... It's not a conceptual tutorial, right? We understand how nudging works, but it's a muscle memory tutorial, and I haven't had the benefit of that from switching after the tutorial. So, you know, don't assume what control scheme your players will want. Ask them before you start tutorializing stuff, especially in an action game where you're teaching the muscle memory rather than the concepts, you know? Gonna give it one more go, and then I need to go and do something slightly more productive with my real cult. Ah! I love the way those little swishers swish up there. Oof. Starting to... I've got the mental kind of thing there to try and do the thing. Like, I know I need to open the flipper to let the thing through, but then I'm not getting the timing. It's taken quite a while to get to that point with that mechanic. Ah! Straight away. Go. So it's got some sort of like automated way of popping out that sort of always works if you get the timing right, but there's like 2 steps to it. It's like remembering to hold the flipper open and then remembering not to rush the nudge. And then when you get the nudge at the right time, it just kind of automatically comes out in the right place, which I think has been kind of tuned to make it easier. But it's just, it's a physically weird set of things to do with your hands, especially when you were using the other controls during the tutorial. Altar filled. Okay. Damage frequency. We can upgrade the Inferno. We can get the Tempest. I don't really want Tempest with my Fireball. Yeah, I'm just going to still try and get the multi-ball. It's the most appealing thing. So we're looking for the green arrows now, which are going to give us that because it's the green upgrade. Not super colorblind friendly. I mean, I can see the symbol for it up there now. But there's a... If I go up that run, I will... That's the ritual for the multi-ball. So, yeah, let's do it. I've got to hit it 3 times, I think. Whee. Oh, I think if you do max pain bullet time type slow-mo in a game like this, you need to like ease it in and out quite a bit because the switches between the slow and fast are incredibly jarring. But I'm sure they played around with all this stuff and tried different ways of doing it. But multi-ball 1 of 8, it says. Does that mean it's time for me to get my multi-ball? I don't know. Ah, crap. Yeah, again, I think that the audio feels very dedicated to making the sounds of a pinball machine, and it would be quite cool to have, you know, the ball is a fireball. Why is it not going and making cool little sounds as it jumps around? I do quite like this. I just think the initial barrier to entry is just too high. The mechanic of the way that the nudge is used in this game to save yourself is really, really crucial for people to learn. And if you onboard people in the wrong controls, I'm not going to repeat that because I went on about it for ages, but it's a real big problem here. I think what we should have is when we've got the ball and it's in a moment where we can save, maybe we slow down a little bit there. But I also think that the first couple of balls that you unlock should just have lower gravity. Like the entire game would be universally easier for new players that are still learning the game if we just had a kind of sliding scale of easier balls taking longer to fall down. Because I think that's actually the quintessential difference between this and when I played Orb Orb Magi earlier and when I played Rollers of the Realm, is when I was playing those games, although I was struggling, when I was struggling with both those games, but at no point did the game make me think, oh, I just fundamentally can't play pinball, whereas this is doing that. And again, I think the physics is just too real. And it's serving as a kind of pinball simulator, which is cool. And, you know, there are people want that, and there are people that want that. And but I think the majority of people that go to play a pinball video game want what they think pinball is rather than like actual pinball. And I think just the full speed of the ball and the amount of reaction time required is going to be a sticking point there. And the great thing about it being a video game is you don't have to make it just for hardcore players or just for casuals. You can You can just make the first couple of balls easier so that the game is just like training wheels with the first 2 balls because they don't take as long to fall down, you know? But I do feel like the kind of global speed of the gravity is the major thing here that would be easy to tweak. And if the devs watch this and they're looking, you know, seems like the kind of project that is it's polished and everything, you know. I don't know how big the team is behind this, but if you've got some tracking data and it's showing people churning out pretty early, then take heed to some of the stuff I'm saying, because there's going to be some very easy wins in all of this. I think a lot of the things I've said that I don't like in this and the things I've said you could do to improve it are like relatively easy things to do with modifying like one art asset or tweaking the order of things and stuff like that. It's cool. I find this a little bit underwhelming. I think the fact that we're in a cult theme and then we immediately go to, oh, you can have the fire thing or the water thing or the lightning thing. That feels like kind of boring D&D trad magic schools type thing rather than what I would expect from a kind of cult themed thing. But yeah, I mean, that's it for today. Thanks for joining today. Check out Orb Magi and Ball Wizard if you liked either of them, or check out any of the games from the stream over on the festival ends today, actually. The Pegs and Pins Festival. And I am maybe going to check out in offline at some point some of the other stuff in it. I should have specified when we did the poll. I should have said I will pick the most popular pinball game and the most popular pachinko game, because I would have quite liked to play one of these more pachinko-y ones. I've still never played Nubby's Number Factory, which seems like a crime, because look at this guy. Like, it's Nubby. He's here. It's time to make some numbers. Like, Nate said, I remember bouncing off this game half a year ago for the same reasons, so the dev kind of stuck to their guns. Yeah. It just, it's very strange to make something like this that is kind of pinball plus, but then the plus is gated behind you being really good at the pinball thing, which I don't think is such a good idea. Kenny makes games. I think it should be like a little bit gentler on a new player. I mean, the other thing is as well, okay, so let's think about the roguelike and the roguelike deck builder aspect of this. How often do you play any sort of roguelike, whether it's a turn-based game or a skill action game, where your kind of failure is so early in the first like 10 attempts that you never get to see a different run identity, right? So if it's a roguelike deck builder, I think the thing that they're calling a deck builder here is that it has pick one of these rituals to do, right? So you pick an upgrade, and then that upgrade is what triggers when you do certain things on the table. Really cool idea. The problem is I played however many attempts then, and getting to the point where you even get that, let alone actually manage to trigger it after the point, is it takes so long, right? So where's the roguelike appeal? Because even like if I play something like Binding of Isaac or Voidigo, even if I suck pretty bad, I'm still gonna get to a point where I've ran around in the first level, picked up a couple of upgrades, and now my weapons are different or stuff. And the thing, I think that's a regardless of whether it's pinball or any other type of game. I think if you're saying your game is a roguelike and you're specifically saying it's a deck builder, which means it's an engine building game, then you want to make sure that even players that suck a little bit are getting to a point quite early on where they get to pick stuff. I think this game feels like it's been playtested just by the dev or just by pinball sickos, and it needs a couple of tweaks to make it just a little bit easier to get a little bit further. And like, there is no reason why a cult themed pinball game needs to have 3 balls, for example. There is no reason why the physics needs to be so quick and realistic, particularly with the kind of gravity of how the ball comes down the table. I think there are lots of little things that if you tweak them just slightly, people will be having a better time with this. I'm going to go and look at the reviews and see what mentions the other things. Found it surprisingly tedious. Every stage feels like the same table with the same boss. Nothing really changes to keep things interesting. The balls feel essentially identical. The objectives between tables don't offer much either. Yeah, lots of people happy with it though. But I think some of the things that I'm talking about, they're not all or nothing, right? You make the earlier balls lighter, you make them easier to use. That onboards the player. Everyone's going to have a better time because of that. You unlock the other balls and they're harder to use. And then you get more like identity between the unlockables as well. I mean, I think people often forget that in games where you're unlocking characters or whatever, you generally, that's not just a reward, right, of characters that or weapons that the player wants to unlock. It's also a way of gating the more difficult content. And players are often don't think of it that way because the difficulty is like the stuff to do with the difficulty setting, but it can also be, okay, we're not letting you have the vehicle that's hard to drive at the start of the game. You have to earn that, you know, that kind of stuff. The game revolves entirely around whether or not you can trigger a multi-ball ritual. If the ritual is in a hard spot to activate, then the game just becomes so frustrating trying to ping one single spot on the board. You never feel like you are ahead, and there was maybe one time in my playthrough where I felt like I had a strong setup. Every run is the exact same, and I realized it was no fun trying to game the system. Yeah, so I think a generic quality you can look for in... And I've said this before, and people got annoyed with me because they're like, "Well, that's not what Rogue is." And it's like, well, I'm differentiating between what Rogue was and what modern players of roguelikes are usually looking for. But if you have an engine building game where, like, I play for 5 minutes, I get an upgrade, I get a weapon, right? Then the stuff that the player picks is what makes the run identity feel different on each try. And that is one of the things that people are going to these games for. Is that I can play a game that is like fundamentally the same, and I can sit down and, like, if I play really good at this, I could potentially complete the game in an hour. If I suck at it, I can do like 10 attempts in an hour. That's how roguelikes work, how modern indie roguelikes work. But for any of them to work, you want to feel very quickly like the run identity is different on each run you do. Hey, Bite Me Games. Hey, Doc, good games in the Pegging Fest. I don't know, I'm all pinballed out. I think what I would have liked to have done was play at least one more pachinko game, but we went with 2 extra pinball games. Should have done Demon's Tilt, really. Yeah. I kind of wanted to look at these other pachinko games and see which ones are better than Ballionaire, because a lot of them seem like the same thing. You know, Ploink, similar sort of thing. You know, Peglin, but you decide the pegs kind of thing. That one looks good. Look at all those numbers. Yoku's Island Express. Where's that? Yeah, I think Cult of Pin looks very, very good. The visual style of it is great, but it's got some identity crisis where it refuses to accept it's a video game rather than a actual pinball simulator. And I think it could be a lot better. Right, folks, I'm gonna hop off. I need to go and do some stuff. Yoku's Island Express. Look at this guy. Who's that? Oh, I see. We're doing a sort of like almost pinball Angry Birds physics platformer. Neat. You're a little ant following your roly boulder, of course. Yeah, thanks for joining today. I will see some of you next week. Have a good weekend. Those of you who I don't speak to before then. Thanks for dropping in. And remember to check your balls regularly. If you have balls. If you don't, then check someone else's if they're all right with that and you're all right with that.